Hi guys, I'm back for my final and third gift guide. I realised that I said this was going to be a kids gift guide, and as I got everything together I kind of thought, this is not much of a kids gift guide. It's really more of a what I'm buying Ella for Christmas kind of guide. So I am going to kind of go over some other options and some hints and tips and websites that I like to shop on that hopefully will be helpful to you. But really I only have things that I've purchased for Ella, and they're not necessarily going to be suitable for boys and girls. It depends on yourself and it depends on your children, but you know, I'm gonna just say that first and foremost, there's not a lot of boy stuff here. Anyway, I'm gonna get into some of the stuff that I have had in the past that I've purchased for Ella that I thought were particularly good. The first thing is this. We actually made this last year. I can't remember if I got this for Christmas or for her birthday, but it was basically a kind of build your own set of drawers, I don't know, secret set of drawers maybe it was called. And it's actually really nice. It was all glued together by me and then she decorated it. But it was something nice to do together. It all came in little parts, even the drawers we had to make individually. And it's something that we had to sit down and do together, and I think that it was a really nice thing, given that we don't have a tremendous amount of time that we'll sit and do something together because I'm at work, she's at school, she spends part of the time with her dad. And it is nice to have something that you have to sit down and do. Not that we're forced to kind of spend time together, but I think some families, you need that kind of drive to say, right, we're all going to sit down and do this. And it was nice to have that thing that you did to spend time with your child. And regardless, it's quite a nice little kit, but I think whenever you're talking about anything to do with crafts, you're talking about doing something with them, because they're not going to do it by themselves. There's no way Ella could have made this by herself. And be aware when you are buying crafty gifts that it is going to involve work on your part. So I buy most of my crafty gifts for other people's children. And maybe that's why. But I thought that was a really, really nice gift. And if I can find out where I purchased it from, I will link it below. But it wouldn't have been expensive at all. And another thing that I bought and did a couple of years ago for Ella was this. And this is something that I did for Ella, and I did it for my young cousin, who is now about 8 or 9, but I think she was about 6 or 7 at the time. And her mother told me that she really liked it. So I thought, I'll mention this because I actually really liked this as well. It was another, I mentioned in my previous, and I probably will just mention it again, I mentioned in my previous men's gift guide what I'd purchased for my young cousin that is a boy, and he's actually 12, 13, I think he might be now, maybe even 14. I actually purchased for him for Christmas this Marvel Comics aftershave set, because I think it's kind of that bridges the gap between man and boy, that it's comics but it's also aftershave, because you just don't know within that little age gap. It's really difficult to tell what to buy. And in a similar way, I'd never know what to buy for my young cousin that is a girl, because it's all so generic. You just kind of, you buy the same thing and you know that she'll have had it before or have had something similar, and it just seemed so thoughtless. So I was making this for Ella, and I decided to make one for this little girl as well. And it's a box that I purchased from, I think it was Hobbycraft, and it was just a brown paper box, paper mache kind of box, and I bought paints and I put all gold on the inside, painted all gold, and I painted purple on the outside and made it kind of gold, like a chest. And then I decorated it, so this is Ella's box and the other one was Millie's box. And inside I put Ella, and I put little stickers and whatever else, and she really liked it. And I mean, bear in mind she thinks this came from Santa. She's kept it for a really long time. She doesn't really keep things very well. And I just thought it was just a little bit of extra thought. Yeah, it was a little bit of effort on my part, but especially when you're giving a gift to someone else rather than just your own child, I think it's just a little bit of extra effort that is appreciated. And I know this is not amazing. I'm no special crafty person, but I just think it's a really nice extra touch, and especially when you're talking about little girls, I think they appreciate little secret boxes and things that are especially theirs, and I think that both of them did appreciate it. So I thought I would mention that. 2 crafty things that I got out of the way. Now last year, Ella's big gift was a Nintendo DS, and this was the Nintendo DS that she got. As a few things to mention, you can purchase these stickers, the decals, on eBay for very, very little. Ella to this day thinks that Santa made her a special Hello Kitty DS. She's going to be 8 next September, and she still is a firm believer in Santa Claus, so I'm so pleased about that. And I put in a message from Santa Claus on the inside and everything, and she totally, hook, line and sinker, Santa bought her this DS and made a special Hello Kitty version. But for those of you that are considering a DS, really, really great gift. I think that it, again, transcends age groups. You could purchase this for a 6-year-old, you could purchase this for a 66-year-old. I think this is a really, really good gift. I play on this as much as she does, or at least I did when I had the time to. And recently we also purchased this for her to keep all of her games in, to keep everything safe. And her kind of, I want to say wand, that's not right at all. The little drawing, what's name? I can't remember the name of it, but you know what I mean, the little drawing thing to go in it. The reason that I purchased her the DS last year was because she wanted the, either the inner tab or the VTech, no, the VTech inner tab or the, what's the other one called? I can't remember, but it's white and green. I hate when this happens. Leap pad, it's the Leapfrog Leap Pad. Anyway, she wanted that and I decided that it was quite expensive. It was £70 or £80 last year. I decided it was too expensive given that she was going to be growing out of it pretty quickly. So I decided to spend that little bit more and purchase the DS, which she still plays on a lot. And I think that the inner tab or the Leap Pad probably would have had its day by now. But this year, they've brought out the Leap Pad 2, which means that the old Leap Pad is now on sale, and my mum's actually purchasing that for Ella this Christmas. I think it's going to be £49 or £50, something like that. So if you are thinking about something like that and the new iPad 2 or the new Leap Pad 2 and the inner tab 2 have come out, just bear in mind that if you've got young children, they will not know the difference. If you can find, I think it was Argos when I last checked, that had the original ones. If you can find the original ones, they will be on sale and you may as well save yourself some money. So I think they're really, really good, and especially because I'm buying Lee an iPad 2 for Christmas, I thought it'd be really cool if the kids had a kid-proof one that was something that they could play on while we're playing on that, and we don't need to worry about them breaking the expensive one. So that's another gift idea. You can get them in green, you can get them in pink, but bear in mind that if you have got, say for example, an older daughter and a younger son like I have, you can get them in green and then get a skin that goes over them that is pink. So then as and when they give them to the younger child, you can take the pink skin off and it's not a girly one. So again, another tip, just so that you don't end up getting a pink one and it being cast aside by the boy when he's old enough to use it. Another thing that I got for Ella, one kind of mention this year is that in the past I've spent an awful lot of money. Like for example, with the Nintendo DS. She was only 7 and she didn't really appreciate the expense, and obviously she thinks that Santa buys these things anyway, but she doesn't really appreciate how big a present that was, because we're talking like 160 something pounds I think it was, and she's still of an age now where she will appreciate big plasticky cheap things. And just as a word of advice to other parents that are still in this stage where they could do this, as long as you can get away with buying them big plasticky things, do it, because in a couple of years' time, she's going to be asking for iPads. In fact, she is already asking for an iPad. But regardless, she's going to be asking and knowing that I can buy her things that are more expensive. So as long as you can get away with buying the cheaper, bigger things, then do, because I've reverted back to that this year a little bit because I've realised that I've spent way too much money completely unnecessarily in the past. So I've got lots of cheaper stocking fillers this year. This is one of them. It's the twistable case full of the Crayola pencils, which I think is really good because she loses all of her crayons, and this is a case to keep them all in. She always leaves the lid off pens because that's just Ella. So again, this is something that is not going to be an issue there. And it's just a little bit more special than normal pet crayons. I think 8 of them are metallic, 8 of them are like twisted, so they've got different colours depending on what. Do you remember the multicoloured pencils you used to be able to get? That you could draw a line and it'd be all multicoloured? That was amazing. A bit like that. And then 16 regular ones, so I think I might use these as much as she might, but I thought this was a really nice, it looks better, it looks more substantial than it is, and I swear to God, I'll give her this and some paper and she'll be as excited as when I gave her the Nintendo DS. It's just not necessary to spend an absolute fortune on children when they don't really understand it. This I saw and just couldn't resist. It's probably going to be rubbish, but it's called Zubber. It's a rubber band maker, and that's pretty much it. You know, like these trendy rubber bands that are for all the different causes that people have. Well, you can make your own and you can put in different messages and patterns and different colours, and it shows you how to make it, and I know that I'm going to have to get involved here. But as I said with the drawers, I think something like this, a bit like a board game, it's nice to have something that does kind of force you to get in there as a family and do something as a family, because these days people don't do an awful lot of things together as a family, and stuff like this you have to get involved, and it just makes you sit down and spend time with your child, and you always feel better for it. You'll never regret sitting down and spending that time unless they, you know, are horrible to you. You'll never regret spending time with your children and doing that craft with them. I just think it's a really nice thing to kind of push you to actually do it, because Everyone is guilty of it. Just other things get in the way and you're too busy, and these crafty things are really good for things like that. And the last present that I have to show you is very, very trendy for 2012. So if someone's looking at this in a few years' time and going, what the hell is Moshi Monsters? Moshi Monsters. Who else is sick of hearing about Moshi Monsters? Because I am. Moshi Monsters are the new thing, and I've got a feeling that come New Year, she's not going to be interested in them anymore because it seems like a bit of a flash in the pan trend. But regardless, she's very interested in it at the moment, and I'm pretty sure this was like £15 or something, and it looks like a huge present. This, again, is along the same vein as get the big boxes that don't cost a lot of money and they think it's a huge present. I'm not all about duping my children or anything, but just be aware, those of you that have got 2 or 3-year-olds now that are thinking about buying them full-on like tablets, it's totally unnecessary, and I'm only learning this now because I really did go overboard when Ella was younger, and I realise now that I'm not going to be doing that with Milo at all. I've got years and years and years ahead of me of spending hundreds and thousands of pounds on gifts that they actually know, when they know I'm purchasing it and they can put the screws in to get it. I think for now, Father Christmas will be on a budget this year, and this is what she's getting. This is her, it's not her main present, but I suppose it's probably what she's going to like the most. And I think that it's rubbish, really, but she's going to love it. It's like a little house that you keep your Moshi Monsters in. And if you've seen on my vlog channel, I've actually shown how all the things that I've put into her advent calendar, because we have a fill your own advent calendar, if you will. And she's got some Moshi Monsters coming throughout December to go into that, because of course all the Moshi Monsters she's had before she's taken to school and they've been lost or given to someone or whatever else, so I need to make sure that she's got some for on the day when she's got this tree house. So yeah, that's everything that I've got. I know it's not really a gift guide, it's just kind of, these are some things that I've bought. I will leave the links to everything that I've bought below. If you've got anything that you want to share in the comments about what you've purchased this year, or something, some great deal that you know about, please leave that in the comments as well, because I know kids can be so difficult to purchase for. And one last thing that I want to mention that Ella will be getting as well is Lee had an old, like a first generation iPod Nano, a really little old crappy one that would barely charge up anymore, and Apple recalled them a little while ago and he sent them off. I mean, this is a really old iPad, like 6 years old or something, and they said we'll replace them for new iPod Nanos if it falls within its category. So he sent it off and it did, and we've got a new iPod Nano. It's just the little one with no screen. No, it has got a screen, a little one with a screen, but it's just little and tiny. You can't play games on it or anything, it's just music. So I've bought Ella some headphones, which I didn't bring up for some reason. Some headphones I bought her, and I bought her a little case to put it in and everything. And I think that, I mean, that will be her main present, but basically we didn't pay for it because he got a replacement of his old iPod that he never even used anymore because he's got his iPhone. So if you have got one of those, then be aware that you may be eligible to get a brand new Nano. It just comes in Nano, it doesn't come in a box or with nothing, it comes with no charger or anything. But be aware that you may actually be able to switch it, you may be eligible for that scheme. So I thought I'd mention it just because that's been a big money saver for me this year, because she's got all of these kind of stocking fillery things, and then I would have ended up spending maybe £100 on an additional present, and I haven't had to because of that. But really, when I look at the things that I've purchased for her, she doesn't need an additional £100 spending on her. It's just, you need to get out of the mindset of I need to spend so much money on my children at Christmas. Totally unnecessary. We all spend so much money at Christmas. It's way too much money at Christmas. And I know that I sound really, really tight, but at the end of the day, if you consider how many people you're purchasing for, and you actually add it all up how much money you've spent, it can be obscene. So I just want to push home at a time when people out there may not have started the Christmas shopping, just rein it in a little bit. It's totally unnecessary to spend an absolute fortune, and I've been completely guilty of it, and I have been guilty of it with Lee this year, but I've really tried to rein it in elsewhere, whereas normally I just go all out, because it's easier to throw money at a problem than sit down and really think about what someone would want. If you say, I've only got £20 to spend, it's much harder to find a gift than to say if you've got £500 to spend. You could easily find a present for anyone if you've got loads of money to spend on them. It's harder when you actually have to put some thought into it and save a little bit of money. So if you've got any ideas or tips or hints for anyone, please leave them in the comments. Please check out my other channels and my other videos and let me know if you want to see any of the kind of videos from me, and subscribe if you like what I've already done. And I'll see you in my next video. Bye!